All right, so this year I didn't do much, I guess. I just used these two pages here, and some stuff was from Pinterest, some stuff was from my head. I've been like rewatching Mob Psycho lately, and I'm like on season 3, and I thought it was just kind of funny, like with the Psycho Helmet group or whatever, and like that like crude drawing of Mob. So I just for whatever reason decided to like draw his head on a buff body. I don't know. That's just what was the first thing that came to mind when I was looking at this empty page. And in general, if you watch anime or if you watch anything, I think you should definitely check out like Mob Psycho. It's a really good show, honestly. It's almost kind of like a self improvement show when you think about it. I guess like most like anime, most shonen type anime are kind of like self improvement in a way. But since I guess Mob Psycho's story in terms of like character progression feels more real, it just kind of resonates a lot more. And I remember when I watched the first season when it came out, not when it came out, but I remember when I first watched it, I was in middle school. So I was able to kind of relate to the character of Mob a lot more as being like this shy, awkward kid, and then seeing him being able to kind of like prevail and just become better when it comes to dealing with like his own emotions or where he stands in the world or how he sees himself and whatnot. And I think that's just such like a great message, and it just has like great writing and whatnot. And honestly, the show looked amazing. It has great animation all throughout, all three of its seasons. But in general, I feel like a lot of like stuff that I've watched, I watched a lot of anime growing up, has like kind of almost influenced my mindset a bit. I don't feel like I'm as, I guess, like a downer per se, or I feel like, I can't do anything. Although there's a lot of people that watch anime that, they use it as more of a distraction instead of a motivation. Like sometimes I'll like work out and I'll watch like Baki or I'll watch like Dragon Ball, right? Um, but it's like everything that's being created is trying to give us a lesson in some type of way, and it's kind of up to us to see if like are we able to pick up that message, if we're able to see that message, are we awake enough, basically, are we conscious enough to be able to gain that message. Even if what you're watching can be something negative, there is some type of underlying message to it that's trying to tell you, to stay away from this, or to not do this, or to not follow that, right? So that way we don't always see, I guess, negativity and everything, right? Now, I'm not saying like, I'm encouraging you to go and watch a bunch of bad stuff or like, inappropriate stuff or whatever. But just everything has its own lesson, right? And it just all depends on how we kind of end up experiencing it and what type of state of mind we're in, right? We can watch like an old television show that we loved as kids, but then once we watch it as adults, it's like all of a sudden like the worst the worst bit of television you've ever seen, right? Because you're looking at it with different eyes, different experiences. You're a lot older. You probably like watched or read a lot more like, I guess, more cooler content or just good content, and then now it's like that random TV show that you loved as a kid. It's like complete garbage, right? So like I said, like, I feel like the stuff that I watched when I was younger really shaped me up as well, because when it came to like, I think like my generation was like the last generation to like really grow up with TV. I'm 20 years old, and it was like I would always be watching TV, always be watching Cartoon Network, and I would end up watching anime in middle school, whatnot. And I loved all these shows, right? And a lot of these shows were like honestly good quality shows, right? Like Adventure Time, always trying to teach you stuff about like just, I mean, even if it's like a dumb random show, there's always some type of like good meaning from it that like I feel like has influenced me, right? And as kids, it's very important for us to be able to like consume worthwhile content, right? That like allows us to develop better. Like you can kind of like see the difference between kids that grew up on Cartoon Network and like kids that like grew up watching Family Guy. It's like, why are you watching Family Guy, bro? It's like, what is on there for you to watch? Like, you're not gonna gain nothing from Family Guy. I'm not gonna lie. But Shoot, man, watch some Gumball, watch some Adventure Time. What was that one show? It was like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Goated shows, right? And I guess like you can kind of see how like maybe your morality, even your sense of humor, can derive from those early moments, right? And since we live in such a, I guess like a digital age, right? A lot of what influences us, it's not just going to be like our parents and our peers and our teachers. A lot of it is going to be what we see on, on our screens, right? So we have to be able to be careful, or at least be conscious enough to know what we're putting into our minds, on a day-to-day basis or on a regular basis, so that way we can actually grow from, what it is that we're seeing, right? So you kind of want to like filter your content in a way, right? And if you're like someone who's creative, you want to make your own show, make your own stories, don't go and watch garbage television. Don't go and watch garbage movies. Like, go and intentionally find like great films and great television series, right? Instead of like, just feeding your mind with like straight doo doo. And so when we do that, it allows for basically like we're cultivating a garden. Our mind is a garden, and we cultivate it. And if we work towards it every day and make sure we're giving it a great amount of soil, we're planting it with very just great plants, and then someday it's going to become fruitful, right? It's going to grow, and it's going to provide so much more than you would have expected. And that just all depends on what we're putting into our mind, right? Putting, of course, you've heard of like, what are you putting in your body? What you put in your body is important, but also what you feed your mind is also very important, right? So there's so many ways we can affect ourselves, not just through the physical, but also through the mental, right? Your mind, and then your soul spiritually, right? So like, just what do you generally like believe in, right? Are you a more pessimistic person? Are you more optimistic? Are you a downer? Are you prone to giving up? And just kind of assess what it is that's in your mind and what it is that you've developed with that has made you that person, right? Kind of take like a self-assessment. Why do I give up so easily? Why do I procrastinate? Why do I say I'm going to do things and then don't do them? Why don't I follow through? Why don't I keep my word? Why am I so easily provoked by others, right? So, and you have to just like just try and think all the way back to your childhood of these instances, or just even think like about other people that or maybe even things that have imprinted onto you, right? About like their behaviors, right? A lot of behaviors we have could have came from like our parents. But honestly, our parents could have been out at work, and we could have been home watching TV all the time. So like, I guess, which Avatar character are you? Which Harry Potter character are you? Take those self assessments. But yeah, peace out.